here on Science Reacts, guys. We're watching what NASA found on Io. Hello? Hello? Yo? What they found on some, you know, very esoteric looking pyramid thing. Illuminati, maybe? They've been around forever. An upside down T is just an I, if you think about it. So, let's see this.
Out here, deep into space and far away from the sun, you might expect
Oh, yeah,
everything
nose.
to be frozen and lifeless. And yet, we find images like this, captured by one of NASA's most advanced research probes,
Or
that
what
shows
is
us
that IO?
these bizarre structures seemingly created by a process that is unlike anything we know on Earth. Jupiter's moon Io is more alive than
We got
any other body in our
a
solar
Berber.
system. Its rocky surface is caught up in a raging battle between fire
This guy's
and ice.
meeting a
Meanwhile,
head of
scientists
lettuce.
on Earth have only just begun to uncover the hidden forces that are driving this chaos. The Jupiter system is home to nearly 100 officially recognized moons, a number
Let's go to
that
Varric.
continues to grow as we discover new objects orbiting the
Wanna get,
giant planet. Most of them
adamantine
are very small,
pickaxe.
but 4 are exceptionally large. We call these the Galilean moons, as they were first recognized by the 16th century astronomer Galileo Galilei using one of the
Really?
first telescopes
I
ever
would
made.
never have guessed.
The outer 2 moons are the largest, Callisto and Ganymede.
Bro, they just be naming stuff after people, like the planets and stuff of that nature, but like also like not, right? Because I've seen some planets, they're named like, like MO-355 or something, BBW6, and like, how do they even name these? Is it like they just go through the alphabet and like run through whatever letter combination number and stuff, and until they run out, I guess, which they can't, I assume, but let me know in the comments, because they should name some after a few people. Devin, they should name one after Devin, for sure. He probably saw a planet before and told me about it, and I was like, huh, I didn't know that planet was there, and I doubt anyone did. So Devin, hit me up, or hit up Devin, as a matter of fact.
Both are solid orbs of ice and rock with dead, heavily cratered surfaces. Second in line is Europa, which is made from a thin, smooth sheet of ice floating
Bruh,
on a
I thought
vast
Europa
ocean
was
of
a
liquid water. It's one
like
of
a
the most
continent.
promising locations in the solar system to find extraterrestrial life. And
They
then
got
closest
aliens
to
in
Jupiter
Europe?
is Io, just 350,000 kilometers above the clouds of the gas giant, not much
Is it
further
a moon?
than the distance between Earth and our moon, and about the same size, just a little bigger and heavier. Io is actually the most dense moon in our solar system, and that's because it's made almost entirely of rock and metal, while most of the other large moons out here are made of ice and rock. The difference is so extreme that Io is believed to have the lowest water content of any known body in the
Damn,
solar
bruh.
system,
People
even
on that planet
drier than
must be
Mercury,
starving.
the closest planet to the sun. But what really makes Io special is the
I was
action
starving,
on
bruh.
its surface. This
was
is
wet
the
as hell.
only
Pause.
location outside of the Earth where
After
we
skating
know that
today.
volcanoes are erupting on a regular basis.
Bro,
Io
what, they
is
got
actually the
volcanoes
most
in
volcanically
Europe?
active place in our
I
entire
thought that was only in
solar
California,
system,
bruh.
with up to 400 active volcanoes dotting the entire surface of the moon. This discovery was first made by the Voyager 1 probe during its Jupiter flyby in 1979. Even from a distance of 20,000 kilometers and using primitive, low-resolution cameras, Voyager was able to see 9 distinct
Primitive?
volcanic
Like the
eruptions
BC
blasting out from the moon's surface. These
Damn.
raging lava flows exist in stark contrast to a world that is consumed by a deep freeze.
I would not
Outside of the
wanna live
volcanic
there.
zones, the surface temperature of Io drops down to negative 130 degrees Celsius. We know that the
That's
sun is
cold,
too
bro.
far away to contribute any warmth to the Jupiter system, so where does all of this heat come from? First, we need to appreciate that Io is caught up in a very treacherous location. At this close distance to Jupiter, it's just far enough away to avoid getting sucked in or even torn apart by the planet's massive gravity. But that doesn't mean that Io is in a safe place either. The extreme gravity from Jupiter still pulls on the moon's surface hard enough to stretch the rock and distort its shape. And then on the other side, there are
Oh, the
these three
gravitational
other
pull.
large Galilean moons. And
But you think we're gonna discover like BBWs like that big, and they're gonna start like, you know, stretching the space-time continuum and stuff like that? Ooh, that'd be crazy, bro. I'd be like, sit on me, bro. I get crushed and die, and like stretched into spaghetti or something. You know, BBWs can probably create black holes, as a matter of fact. I don't know this. I don't know why I said matter of fact, but in my heart, it's true, and that's, you know, ultimately what matters is what you believe. So, let me know if you believe this too.
they exert their own force of gravity, not nearly as strong as Jupiter, but still enough to pull Io in the opposite direction, which disrupts its orbit around Jupiter. So instead of moving in a circular pattern, Io orbits in an oval shape, meaning sometimes it's really close to Jupiter and other times it's further away.
I like ovals.
So it never gets an even exposure to that extreme gravity, and it cycles back and forth about once every 2 days, constantly being stretched and released and changing shape as it moves along. The result is that Io experiences some pretty massive tidal bulging. This is the same effect that we see with the ocean on Earth. Our own moon has enough gravity to pull up on the water, causing high and low tides. The rise of the ocean on Earth is only about half a meter on average. Different coastal locations will experience varying amounts of tidal change based on their geography, but in the middle of the ocean, the change is very small. On Io, the gravity of Jupiter does something insane, lifting the surface by as much as 100 meters when the two bodies are at their closest distance. And that is not just pulling up water, that's stretching solid rock and essentially giving the moon itself a slight egg shape. All of this stretching and squeezing acts like a pump that drives energy into the center of Io and powers all of this volcanic activity. But these volcanoes do not function in the same way that we see on Earth. If you think about a volcanic eruption, you probably imagine a big, pointy mountain with lava and ash shooting out from the top.
Yeah.
These tend to form like along areas where tectonic plates collide and force rock up.
Bruh, they got tectonic plates in outer space too, bruh. I thought that was just something like, you know, the dinosaurs built on Earth and stuff. And then, you know, over time, after the Neanderthals like threw a meteor at North America and made the dinosaurs go extinct, the tectonic plates started to shift and stuff like that, and then the ice age occurred, and then stuff got cold. They have tectonic plates in other planets, bruh. When were they gonna tell me about this? Like, we've been knowing this. Like, is that like a matter of fact though? Because like damn, bruh, people gotta tell me stuff more often. It really is a matter of fact, I think.
From below the surface. Io doesn't have plate tectonics, so lava just tends to erupt from cracks that form as a result of the constant gravitational stretching. The initial release of energy can throw lava dozens of kilometers above the moon's surface, and above that, a plume of sulfur gas can rise for hundreds of kilometers. Sulfur is always present in volcanic activity on Earth as well. If you ever see a lava rock that has all of these round holes all over it, those are created by trapped pockets of sulfur gas. The result of this is a sulfur atmosphere that surrounds Io. Depending on the level of volcanic activity...
Bruh, this is like rust in real life, bruh. What are they talking about sulfur, bro? I didn't know, bro, other people have rust? Or like other planets? Like rust exists in other planets and stuff of that nature? Like, I thought rust was just a, you know, a video game and stuff. Like, I didn't think sulfur would like be a thing, you know, and it just like exist on planets like this. And like volcanoes, as a matter of fact, too, bruh. I ain't never seen a volcano in real life. Like, they're probably not real, but apparently they are. They're on a, you know, other planets. I thought it was made up stuff on television. I never seen one, and now I'm looking at one on a, well, a monitor is just a mini television, I suppose, but you know what I mean.
At any given time, the atmosphere can range from about 1/3 the density of Earth's to nearly double. Most of the
Damn.
sulfur that gets released will eventually settle back down
Bro, so
and
we
cover the
thick.
moon's surface. This is what creates the range of vibrant colors that we see from orbit. The yellow regions are sulfur that
Bro, that
has
looks
been
like a
crystallized by the
potato,
low
maybe?
temperatures, essentially snow. The white and blue
What?
patches are frozen sulfur dioxide that exist in the coldest shadow regions of the moon. The green
Bro,
areas
they
are
got
sulfur monoxide, which is created
the
by
alien
interactions
smoking,
with
the
Jupiter's
duck pack
radiation belt in the upper
in
atmosphere.
space.
And then the red
What?
areas are hotspots of recent volcanic activity where the sulfur is still being actively heated. Going back to what we mentioned earlier, volcanic activity on Io does not create mountains or raised shield structures like it does on Earth. Instead, after the initial violence of the eruption, the moon's surface tends to collapse down and molten rock fills the void to create these giant lava lakes. The biggest one is named Loki Patara. It's 200 kilometers in diameter, and in the center, there's a big
Bro, I thought Loki was from the comic book. Or like God of War or something. You know, I'd be reading the comic book one time, here or other, and I saw Loki in it, bruh. And, you know, they punched him, they roughhoused him, and stuff like that. I didn't know he lived on a different planet. Now, do you think Swamp Thing, Alec Holland, lives on a different planet too? Well, I mean, to be fair, it depends what version of Alec Holland. Or like, well, I mean, I guess Swamp Thing is not Alec Holland. He just has the memories of Alec Holland. Um, isn't Swamp Thing like a god at some point? I'll be honest. It does depend on the, I guess, like universe of Swamp Thing that you're reading. But yeah, Swamp Thing exists on every planet. Think about that right now. Superheroes are real. Now, I wouldn't fight one personally. I've said this before, but you know, maybe for clout, I'll upload it on World Star or something. I'll try to rob a candy bar from store and like, oh, get beat up. You know, now, you know, I personally wouldn't want to get my ribs broken in any way. So maybe I'll not do that, but who knows? I'll let you guys know, I suppose.
island of solidified rock surrounded by an active churning lake of molten rock. Now, because of all this volcanic activity, you might think that Io is composed just like the Earth, with a solid crust layer floating on top of a magma ocean. But we are pretty sure that's not the case.
Crust magma?
Probes sent to the
Ew.
Jupiter system have been able to measure the gravity field of the moon, and what they notice is a very uneven pull of gravity around the surface. That tells us the magma is not evenly distributed. It's probably trapped in localized pockets of molten rock
It's just
that are
wherever.
created in the areas that experience the largest amount of tidal flexing. So what you end up with are hundreds of separate volcanic engines hidden underground, which means every volcano is going to behave a little differently. Okay, here's another mystery. If volcanoes and plate tectonics aren't creating mountains on Io, then where did this thing come from? This is called Steeple Mountain. At somewhere between 5 and 7 kilometers in height, it's one of the most iconic views associated with Io, mostly because it looks a lot like the spire of a church steeple or the Eye of Sauron.
Oh my
We are
God.
able to see such
Bro.
detailed images.
I think that like it's demonic. It has to be, right? No, I think it's very obvious that demonic entities probably only exist on Earth because, well, currently, I guess, because I assume that, you know, demons function on energy, and humans probably release a lot of psychic energy to some extent. I mean, like, you ever been to a house where someone's died? And I know this is kind of morbid, but you can feel like the energy, like that very, very, very like evil energy, and like yeah, I guess. Um, so I suppose demons can exist or cannot probably exist in other planets. Do you think like some random dude just like created a portal and just like went to different planets and stuff and just started like making demonic stuff and worshiping demons on like this moon or something, that'd be scary, bro. Or, I plan to go into space, not tomorrow, but, one of these days probably. The day before yesterday, I made up my mind, I think. But, maybe Devin will come. I don't know. Aaron too, I suppose. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I'd be pretty scared if there was demons in space, once I'm there. Because like I'll be like chilling. I'll be like flying and I'll be like "Ooh." And like I'd just be chilling in space and then a demon coming up to me and stuff. That wouldn't be so chill. I'll be honest. Like I don't want to be touched inappropriately by a demon. I saw it in a movie once. Never again. I think I'm fine with never seeing stuff like that again. Let me know if you were not.
Like these thanks to data collected by NASA's Juno spacecraft, which arrived at Jupiter in 2016 on a 5-year mission to study the atmosphere of the gas giant. After completing that goal, Juno was repurposed to investigate the 4 Galilean moons. The probe completed 2 close flybys of Io, the first in December 2023 and a second in February 2024, coming within 1,500 kilometers of the surface. What Juno saw out there is possibly the most unique landscape in our solar system. It quickly found that Steeple is actually just one of many tall, spiky mountains dotted around the surface of Io. The tallest of them rises 18 kilometers, or about double the height of Mount Everest. And what's really interesting is that unlike Everest, these structures on Io are all just kind of lone wolves. There are no dense groupings or mountain ranges to be found, just these seemingly random peaks stabbing straight up into the air. That tells us that these mountains did not form slowly over time. Instead, they burst from the ground suddenly, like an alien from a guy's chest in that movie Alien. So we're pretty sure that this is all still...
I don't know if any of you guys are like astronauts and stuff like that, or, philosophers, or whoever and whatever. Do you know if, if those are solid? I don't know, maybe he said that in the video, but they're made out of gas. It's a volcano and stuff, so it has to be physical. And there's magma. Okay, never mind. That was stupid.
Linked to volcanic activity, just in a very unusual way. So earlier we talked about how the lava flow tends to cause the surface of Io to collapse and form these giant lakes. The idea is that this downward pressure into the surface actually causes a nearby area of rock to get pushed up.
Oh,
imagine if every time a sinkhole opened on the Earth, a new mountain just sprung up right beside it.
Stupid old man.
That is kind of what we're looking at here. The result would be unlike any mountain you've ever seen before, and this is the kind of bizarre natural process that has been playing out on Io for billions of years, with the surface in a constant state of rise and fall thanks to the relentless pull of Jupiter's gravity. Sadly, though, these images could be the last we ever see of Io, with NASA's Juno spacecraft slowly running out of fuel. It's set to be replaced by 2 new robotic explorers of the Jupiter.
I will make it my mission to refuel that. Now, how am I going to do that? I don't know. Well, if we think about the BBWs farting and stuff, maybe they can gas it up, But I also heard that apparently farting just like doesn't do much in space. Especially like to propel you, I suppose. Because if you're stuck in place and you fart, I don't think you'll have enough force to be able to like fart your way out of the situation. So what will end up happening is the fart will just surround you and like suffocate you, bruh. And you'll just die. Death by fart. Have that on my grave. Death by BBW fart. True that.
System. One is called JUICE, which stands for the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer.
Oh.
It was made by the European Space Agency and launched in 2023. When it arrives at Jupiter in 2031, JUICE will investigate 3 of the Galilean moons, Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa. looking specifically at their icy surfaces and hidden oceans of liquid water. Then there is NASA's latest deep space probe, the Europa Clipper, which launched in 2024
Bro, this
and will
Europe's
arrive
getting
at its
clipped?
destination in
What?
2030. As you
Well, I
can
guess all
probably
these
tell from the
probes are
name,
just
this mission is
clips
directed
anyways.
specifically at the moon Europa and will be primarily looking for signs of alien life in the watery depths below its surface.
Yo,
That
yo,
leaves
maybe aliens were just smoking that, on that duck pack and stuff. But they were like doing it so hard underneath the earth and stuff that what ended up happening was like, the pressure had nowhere else to go. So it just shot up and created those mountains, bruh. They really are just on those duck packs, bruh.
Io as the odd one out. There is no probe heading there anytime in the near future, and that's not because Io isn't deeply fascinating in its own right. It's largely because we didn't realize just how interesting the moon was until we saw these Juno images just a couple of years ago. Also, it definitely doesn't have aliens, which automatically drops down the priority level. But priorities are changing at NASA. There is exciting new leadership coming in, there are unprecedented new rocket technologies emerging, and sometime in the not so distant future, we could be studying the deep solar system just as thoroughly as we investigate Mars.
We're back. Gonna finish the video almost pretty much.
And the moon. Until then, we'll always have Steeple Mountain.
Steeple Mountain. That's a classic, bruh. The aliens boofed too hard on that duck pack, and it caused the pressure to have to just, shoot up, stuff like that, stuff of that nature, really. I also saw somewhere, I don't know if this is true, but apparently the mountains on Earth, the volcanoes, were created because some aliens got really freaky and stuff of that nature. Tell me what you think in the comments. Cool guy out.